This particular client was very, very eager to jump onto a system because they're a fairly small company, and their biggest bottleneck was just, hey, we don't have enough time to manage all the students properly. So every single feature we sent over to them was life-saving, and it allowed them to bring on more and more and more clients. And then as we started to roll out these automations and these different workflows, they just got hooked to the idea that, hey, every single sprint, every single 2 to 3 weeks, they would get a new thing that would make their life easier. So actually, client adoption in this case was fairly simple to do. How can we better enable you to use that as your main sort of source of truth of tracking all the quotes that are out, what's won, what's not won, where's the communication happening, etc. So wanted to talk a bit through about that. It's handy that we're also on our end, on OpsKings internal, building out an internal CRM. So we're going to be building them out in parallel. So we're going to be doing that on two fronts. But I wanted to talk a bit more about that because the growth metrics that we currently are tracking, so like new SQLs, quote sent, new pipeline, quotes won, pipeline value, business won, and then existing base revenue versus new revenue. Those are all numbers that I would want to see be extrapolated from the system. So when it comes to tracking quotes right now on the project side, and then Chandni, we can get into tracking quotes on the distribution side, which is going to be a thing we're going to be focused on as well. On the project side, now that we're going to have the proposal generator, we have the statuses. Are you, and this is honestly personal preferences, is this something that when you think about quotes being won, being lost, etc., is this a Kanban thing? Is this a list thing? How are you thus far managing, or if you ever used a CRM, what was sort of the way you were going about using this? So one of the core things that we've been able to establish when working with our clients is obviously there's the sort of business analyst development piece of developing software, but there's an entire side of making sure that the software that we build actually ends up getting used. And that's oftentimes something that, I'd say regular automation AI companies oftentimes overlook. And on our end, we've developed an entire sort of checklist or manifesto of how we go about implementing software inside of organizations and basically pushing change management. And one of the, I'd say, core mechanisms of doing that is something that we call working sessions, and they're usually exactly what they sound like, which is we get on a call with the client and the core stakeholders of the client, and we watch them use the software, and we force them to use the software in a way to make sure we stress test everything instead of trying to force to make it perfect and design everything in the design stage and every little single thing earlier. We basically want to get as soon as possible user actions to start occurring on the new software that we've built, and usually that feedback iteration loop is where we make the most of the progress the fastest and where the client starts to feel comfortable within the new operating system. So that's just one of the mechanisms. There's other mechanisms in terms of importing data, cleaning up data, and making sure that we have all the relevant data inside of the new operating system, which is a whole nother different parallel flow. But in this case, and the call you're about to see is an example of a working session where it's tedious, manual, and very, very, very forceful towards the client to make sure that they actually start using it and don't procrastinate on getting the software into their hands. So we try to make this as soon as possible, and now you're going to see how this looks. Plan for today, I want to get through the active projects and input them into the system and make sure we have all of them in there so you can start tracking them, putting stuff in the calendar, and go from there. So that's our to-do list for today. Might not take us 2 hours, it might will, but I schedule the time regardless. So you're stuck with me until we get it done. So that's the best way to do it. For today, to keep the scope of what we need to get done small, do you have somewhere at hand or close by the current projects that are active So quotes one, and now in progress to either be scheduled, in progress of being worked on, guys are in the field. Basically everything that's won but not completed yet. How many of them we got? All right, there we go. It's a bit blurry, but I can see a stack of paper. So I would let's start with just making sure. So do we have the right site in the system? Yeah, so this particular client was very, very eager to jump onto a system because they're a fairly small company, and their biggest bottleneck was just, hey, we don't have enough time to manage all the students properly. So every single feature we sent over to them was life-saving, and it allowed them to bring on more and more and more clients. So actually getting the client to adopt this system wasn't that problematic because everything was manual. Everything was done through WhatsApp, and any resemblance of a system would have helped them. And then as we started to roll out these automations and these different workflows, they just got hooked to the idea that, hey, every single sprint, every single 2 to 3 weeks, they would get a new thing that would make their life easier. So actually client adoption in this case was fairly simple to do. What's your idea? You're thinking WhatsApp for V1 and then switch to email, switch to mobile app? Like, talk me through how you're thinking about this. So one of their favorite features we've built thus far has been basically a feature that allows students to submit answers of the tests that they sent them through their phone, and it works very simply. They just scan a QR code with their phone, and they just press to select a picture and send upload, and it instantly shows up in their learning management system for the teacher, and the teacher is able to see the photo and then mark it as either correct or wrong, and this helped sped up the entire process by a lot. And what they used to do previously is they had a bunch of WhatsApp groups, and they were just doing this entire back and forth through a bunch of different WhatsApp groups. So you can imagine a teacher running one of these tests or practice sessions, and what they would need to doing is monitor 15 different WhatsApp groups and send pictures and make sure that they're not blurry, send them the next question, and it was just a mess. So now they just have one screen that they log into, they get a notification when someone uploads a picture, and they're just able to mark it super quickly and assign them the next question. And to build on that, we created an algorithm that recommends the next question to the student based on the different errors they made in the previous tests. So this is super useful because instead of the teacher having to figure out, all right, what is the next question to assign to the student so they learn, we have an algorithm that actually detects the mathematically most accurate question to give them in order for them to get stronger in a specific subject or a topic that they're trying to get stronger in. So all in all, pretty interesting. So once you connect the phone, the only remaining thing that you'll need to do is just configure on the client level, on the student level, their associated group on WhatsApp. Just so we link them to. And then after that, we're going to be able to literally just one click send over the report every single week to them in that specific group and go from there. And then that's going to be the V1, but the way we built that feature is in a way that in the future sprint, we can just integrate the entire WhatsApp into the portal as well. So the integration is going to be connected, and we're going to be able to do in the future the full-on back and forth communication through the portal, so we can even remove WhatsApp entirely and basically just use the portal. Yeah, so we just wrapped up a call with a client in the e-learning space, and one of the things that we're doing for them in one of the next sprints is we're going to be doing a machine learning or an AI algorithm that is going to be categorizing all of their math questions that they have their students fill out and identify the concepts and the conditions that those math questions have, and then doing some auto marking and auto question and error type identifications based on the answers that their students submit. So this is something that's currently very intensive for their teachers, because their teachers are going through thousands of questions every single week trying to do all of this work, and then they're also going through all the answers of the students, trying to mark and figure out which sort of answer and which sort of error did the student make on each of the questions. So it will be a pretty big push to get this done, but this is one great example where we can use machine learning and AI to help increase the throughput of a specific team member, in this case, a teacher.